Hello and welcome to the We Are Careers show, and hope you're having a wonderful week wherever you are in the career sphere. Sabia, how's your week looking so far?
You know, I always have a spring in my step at the beginning of the year because there's always hope and optimism. Ask me in another 2 weeks' time, I might be looking and feeling very differently. And I don't know if anybody else who's watching and listening us right now is feeling that way as well. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're joining for the very first time, just a reminder the We Are Careers show is all about your go to career sort of bite-sized content to help you keep up to date with your continuous professional development. And it's about finding out the latest issues that are impacting the career development sector. And oh boy, have we got two guests for you today. If you have not heard of these two ladies and the campaign that they are on, I don't know what rock you have been hiding under. Now, each show we bring you the latest updates in the sector to keep you well informed. Plus, we bring you inspirational guests based, yes, on the topics that matter to you. Now, the aim is simple it's about connecting and building a strong community of careers professionals. And it's very timely, especially with the two guests that we have on lined up for you today. Now, if you haven't already subscribed, please make sure that you do. And if you enjoyed today's show, make sure you hit that like button on whatever platform that you are watching or listening to us on. I'm known as Meet to Be Her. I am a talent development acquisition director. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Chris Webb. Chris, I've kind of teased the audience a little bit about what we've got coming up today. So who have we got and what is the topic that we're going to be tackling today?
Well, yes, as you say, Sabia, it's the start of a new calendar year in the career sphere, and shortly kind of before at the end of our last year, quite a lot of stuff was going on, including the CDI dropping their value in careers research. So I think it's kind of safe to say the topic on everyone's lips has been, how do we continue to raise the profile of the career development sector? And what can we do as individuals, organizations to make this happen? So who better to help us dig into this topic in 2025 than the co-founders, co-creators of the So Much More Than Talking About Jobs campaign? We have Bella Doswell and we have Katherine Jennick. So friends of the show and former guests, Katherine, Bella, welcome back. Great to have you with us. I guess for anyone that has been living under a rock and doesn't know who you are, doesn't know anything about kind of the campaign, tell us a little bit more about yourselves for any viewers or listeners who might be kind of tuning in. So Katherine, we'll come to you first, if that's okay.
Yep, I am a loud and proud career development professional. I have worked in the career space for probably about 20 years now. The vast majority of my work is with young people in schools, but I have worked with young adults as well. And I'm also the founder of What's Your Strength, which is a tool for helping people develop self-awareness. And through all of that, my love of the careers sector helped me to co-create So Much More Than Talking About Jobs with fabulous Bella, which we're going to be talking about throughout the next half an hour. So Bella, over to you.
Wonderful stuff.
Hello, everybody. My name's Bella Doswell. I'm a certified career development practitioner, both in the UK and in Canada, where my practice is. I practice online remotely for outplacement services for a Canadian company, but I live in the UK. Weird, right? Not quite that weird because it gives us an international flavour, which I really love. My professional background has been working in careers centre in universities. I've worked at publicly funded services. And I've been doing this for around 18 years now. And my passion, what gets me up in the mornings to do this job, is the transitional and transformative nature that career development has for the people we serve, whether that's young people right the way through to people in retirement.
That's a great introduction, ladies. So if FYI, anything that any of what Katherine shared or Bella shared intrigues you, excites you, make sure you hit them up on LinkedIn, as well as we'll be talking more about the campaign coming up. Now, previous viewers and listeners of the show will remember our Careers Cheers segment, where every show we celebrate innovation and inspiring members of the careers community. Or it's simply about giving a shout out to positivity that's happening. And in January, what better time to celebrate? So, Katherine and Bella, I know you both have an amazing Careers Cheers lined up for us folks today. So, Katherine, if I come to you first, Who or what are we celebrating?
Well, we are going to be talking a lot about the So Much More Than Talking About Jobs campaign in a little while. And my career cheers is going to some people who you won't have yet heard from, but from tomorrow onwards and over for the next few weeks in the run up to the campaign itself, we have roped in some incredible support from around the world of some career development professionals who are going to be sharing short videos about what the campaign means to them and why they would encourage other people to get involved. So I'm not going to reveal any of those people's names at this stage, but just to say, look out for them on LinkedIn, and you know who you are. And thank you so, so much for giving up your time to share your thoughts with us. We're really, really grateful.
You're so right, Katherine, because without people stepping up and taking on this responsibility, it can't happen. This good work can't happen. And Bella, I want to bring you in. Who or what do you want to give a careers cheers to?
I'd like to give a careers cheers to all those frontline CDPs out there, and also the people who are helping them do their job. So whether that is our professional allies who know who we are and what we do, or those who are supporting us to do the work we do. Globally, we're coming together like never before, and I'd really like to appreciate everybody who has taken part in the last 2 years, and to those future CDPs who may not have heard of us yet, but who are wondering, should I take part? Absolutely, yes, you should. So welcome along. We're delighted to have you.
I almost feel as if Bella and Katherine have just given us the permission to give ourselves a little pat on the back and go, well done us. Well done us. So Chris, shall we dive into today's topic? Shall we take a look? Shall we start digging into what we want to explore today?
I think that sounds like a great idea, and I guess perfect starting point, really, Bella and Katherine, for yourselves. We talked at the top of the show. People maybe have to have been living under a rock to not have heard about the So Much More Than Talking About Jobs campaign. But of course, we may have some people who are perhaps not familiar or less familiar with the campaign. So as a starting point, I guess, over the past 2 years, tell us a little bit about how the campaign developed, I guess, and what it's all about. So Katherine, I'll come to you first, if that's okay.
Yep, that's fine. I'm the start of the story, I suppose. I'll keep it brief. But the hashtag itself was something I coined a few years ago now as a way of celebrating the workforce that I am so passionate about. And it was a way of sort of tackling somewhat of a frustration that I had of people not realizing what we do and the depth and the breadth of the incredible work that CDPs do. So I just started using that hashtag at the bottom of my own LinkedIn posts, or as a celebration at the end of somebody else's post, as a way of just sort of shouting from the rooftops that we are so much more than talking about jobs. And little did I know that a few sort of key people were starting to recognise this hashtag, one being the amazing Suzanne Steele in Scotland. So big shout out to Suzanne, because this campaign wouldn't actually exist because of her, because what she went on to do was I'd created a pencil with the hashtag on it, and I'd sent her one of these pencils as a thank you for her support. She shared a post on LinkedIn with the pencil. Bella saw that, and then I will let Bella tell the next stage of the story.
I saw it, and I really liked the idea of developing a campaign where all of us could take part, like a kind of flash mob, really, where all of us could burst onto the LinkedIn scenes in one morning or one day, and actually tell the world about who we are and what we do, because so many of us are confused with recruiters, or we're confused with human resources professionals, or we're confused with librarians, teachers, you name it. And so I wanted people to understand, well, hold on a minute, we've got this great group of people, but nobody really seems to know much about us. Or worse, they know something about us, but they might have had not altogether a great experience when they were young. So I wanted to try and change that, really. And so I connected with Katherine and I said, look, I think we should get this out there. Can we use your hashtag for a LinkedIn flash mob campaign? And she thought it was a great idea. thank goodness. And the rest, as they say, is history. Katherine very generously opened up her online black book of contacts. She's extremely well networked in the UK and with other CDPs around the world as well, not just here. And it went from there. So we knocked on as many doors as we possibly could. We were really fortunate because those doors were open to us, and we started within 18 days an online campaign which snaked around the world. Australia started first, and then that came over to Europe, came over to the UK, and of course ended up in Canada. So we were absolutely thrilled. And that's how it started.
And that's just, what I'm taking away from this story and the inspiration that it's giving me. And I suspect those folks that are listening, that are watching right now, are also perhaps, maybe you're also resonating with the key points, or maybe you're resonating with some different elements of the story that Katherine and Bella have shared. And that is that you need other people. It cannot be done in isolation. And what a difference one connection. And, we're talking currently right now, the power of LinkedIn. I know how much LinkedIn has changed my career. I mean, I met one of my amazing co-founders for one of my companies through LinkedIn. So, just social media, that influence and the connectivity that it now allows us to do. And I'm just thinking about, what, for the viewers that are listening, how could you leverage this? What are you doing in your work that you're passionate about, just in the same way that Katherine was, and how by she put herself out there very publicly as a result of one of her colleagues? But what are you doing? How can that look like for you? And that brings me on to my question for you both. And Bella, I'm going to come to you first, which is that you've seen a significant increase in engagement with the campaign in 2024, including greater interest from our peers. You've mentioned the international careers community. What do you think changed in year 2 of the campaign? And why do you feel this message is starting to hit home with a much greater number of career professionals each year? So, Bella, if I come to you first, and then I'll hop over to Katherine next.
Sure. Thanks, Mia. So, what's actually changed, I think, is the fact that technology is allowing us to do this. Secondly, is the level of confidence, the self-confidence that people are beginning to feel. CDPs are really great at building confidence with their clients. And I think they needed to be able to take a lesson out of their pocketbook to do that for themselves. I think it's really critical that CDPs understand the value they bring to individual society and the economy, and also be able to have the language to be able to adequately describe who they are, what they do, who they do it for, why they need it, and what they get out of it. I think grassroots campaigns like hashtag so much more than talking about jobs are really authentic. They come from frontline CDPs. We understand what the issues are frontline. We understand the difficulties and the challenges we face with working conditions, salaries, and we also understand the pressures that come with the job of being emotionally available to our clients, and sometimes not always with the resources that we have. Imagine doing that, though, and on top of that, not being visible, not being recognized as a profession in its own right. We recognize that profession, but not everybody understands who we are and what we do. A surprising thing, I think, in 2024, with all the work that Katherine and I have done in speaking to career development associations like the Asia Pacific Career Development Association, and also doing work with the North American Career Development Association as well as other parts of the world, is just how much in common we really do have. When you speak to CDPs around the world, they're saying similar things. People don't understand what we do. We're not recognized. We're not being remunerated adequately. And, there's fire in our belly here. When you speak to people, we know what the issues are, but rather than being problem focused, we're actually being solution focused. That's really, really important. That doesn't mean we're minimizing those serious situations and serious problems. Far from it. What we're choosing to do is take a solution focused process. So I mentioned this at the National Careers Conference earlier in November last year, was about it takes two hands to clap. I really think that all of us need to work together. We need the metrics and we need the data to get the frontline message out. Equally, because of the authenticity of a frontline campaign, like so much more than talking about jobs, it means that people respond to it really, really well. And we're increasing year on year on year. So the first year we had 800,000 hits. In 2024, we had 1.6 million. And in 2025, we're hoping to go sky high through the roof. Let's blow the roof off this thing globally to tell people who we are and what we do and how we benefit individual, society, and the economy.
Some great points there, and I love how you're measuring the impact that you are creating. So Katherine, I want to bring you in here so that you can share your perspective on this.
Yeah, I think one thing is just actually to reinforce something that Bella said about the conversations that we've had globally over the last year or so, is just how apparent it was that we have shared challenges, but we then have shared solutions. And there is so much we can learn from each other as a global community. And I've said this many, many times before of what a privilege it is to be part of this community. And they honestly, the career development professionals that many of whom I call my friends now, are some of the most passionate, innovative, dedicated people I know. And we are also very solution focused. And I think we can recognize that we all have our own individual challenges or our societal challenges or culturally or wherever we are working. But actually, there's some incredible work going on where real change is happening. So if we all share that, we can pick the bits that will work for us and learn from each other. So that would be one thing, just reinforcing what Bella said. But the other thing in terms of why more people are starting to get involved in this campaign is, yes, it's helping the people we serve, but it's helping us as a community to feel like a community, because so many of us work in silo. And Bella and I have had some of just the most beautiful messages from people over the last year or so about how much the campaign means to them and how they feel that they've got support around them. They've got people they can turn to, people that inspire them, people that they can learn from. And I said in the recent NCDA panel discussion that we had about CDP advocacy, that actually there is oceans between us, but we are CDP neighbours. And one person that jumps to mind immediately is the incredible Ruth McAteer in Malaysia. She's said to us numerous times just how much this campaign has meant to her, because she joined LinkedIn around the same time as finding out about the campaign. And she just said that this has given her a sense of camaraderie and community that she didn't realise that was there. And I think that's one of the other things I'm most proud of about this campaign is how much we've sort of given people that sense of hope and togetherness and a sense of belonging to something greater than ourselves.
Yeah, I think they're brilliant points. And I guess there's a couple of things that have kind of come out of that. As you said, I think that opening up opportunities, we've mentioned LinkedIn. It is an incredible platform sometimes for kind of almost opening your mind and realizing, wow, there's some great work going on. But also, I think from a reassurance perspective, as you say, because so easy to become siloed. Sometimes I think even through social media like LinkedIn, so easy to think that everyone's doing stuff better and everyone's doing stuff really well. And actually, God, if only we could do more stuff than this. But actually, that, as you said, that kind of cultural connectivity often makes you realize, well, they might be doing stuff really well in this area in Canada or, this area in Malaysia, but actually they've also got problems with this, which we might be doing quite well over in the UK. Or actually, these are similar challenges and no one's quite cracked this yet. So I think, as you said, that creation of community, it maybe sort of peels back the curtain a little bit, gives people that reassurance, gives them that realism that actually, we're all encountering some pretty big global challenges, across the sector. And as you said, importantly, there are solutions to this, but there are more solutions if we work together than there are if we are kind of staying in these silos. So fantastic points. And it leads really nicely, I think, to kind of the final point we really want to cover today, which is looking ahead to 2025 and particularly to year 3 of the campaign. What is on the cards for so much more than talking about jobs? And I guess crucially, how can our viewers and listeners get involved? So Katherine, I'm going to come back to you first on this one. what's coming up for the campaign in 2025?
So the campaign has evolved from year 1 to 2 to 3. The first year it was all about just using that hashtag, shouting from the rooftops that we are so much more than talking about jobs. In year 2, we then were sort of backing that up with some evidence of how we are, because we shared client stories and quotes and testimonials. Now what we're doing in year 3 is opening up the curtains a little bit and allowing people a little sneaky peek of behind the scenes of what a CDP's life looks like and how we impact the individual, economy and society. So we're asking people to share something on the 3rd of February. That's the important thing you need to know. So the 3rd of February is when it's happening in 2025. And we want people to share something that gives a glimpse of their behind the scenes. Now, obviously, every CDP will have a slightly different role. We work differently. We have completely different sort of day-to-day lives. So we want a little snapshot of that. Now, it could be a photograph, it could be a video, it could be a day in the life sort of timetable sort of thing. Anything. Sort of there's no rules. Every CDP that gets involved, do a behind the scenes post on LinkedIn using the hashtag so much more than talking about jobs.
Fantastic. And I guess in terms of, you talked earlier about who might be involved in some of these videos, you've kind of got an idea of that already. So when should maybe viewers and listeners expect to see some of these videos dropping, whether it's their own or whether it's ones that have already kind of been planned, I guess?
Bella, do you want to pick that up?
Yeah. So actually starting tomorrow, our first video is going to be dropping in LinkedIn tomorrow. So stay tuned, folks. The aim, I think, for 2025 and beyond of a grassroots campaign like this is that one day in all our lifetimes, somebody says to us, what do you do? Well, I'm a career development professional. Oh, great. So which part of careers do you work in? If we can all find that common language to describe ourselves, that would be great. That would make it so much easier for the public to understand us a little bit. And also give us a sense of unity. I mean, Katherine and I really, all we're doing, I see our role really a bit like bugle callers. We don't have all the answers to help our profession move forward, but together as a movement, all of us can try and advance the cause of that. It would be great to see career development practitioners on the BBC, at certain points in the year with A-level results, GCSE results, instead of people who have an interest in careers but aren't actually qualified, perhaps. Different pockets of the year, it would be great to partner with CIPD or other human resources, the HRPA in Canada, for example, at different events, because careers is definitely a theme of work and career life. So let's be visible to our professional allies more, so that they understand what we do and how we can help them and how they help us. We don't just work in isolation here. So it really is, for me, in 2025, this is an opening out. So let's get that visibility a little bit more out there of who we are and what we do behind the scenes, because then people can begin to really understand a little bit more about the machinations of the career alchemy that goes on there.
And it came back really clear, I think, for anyone who attended the CDI National Conference back in November last year, that idea of kind of career development being a broad church, and actually people, CDPs wanting that to be acknowledged and saying, look, I work with all these different stakeholders that really value the work that I do. I value the work that they do. We don't want this to be kind of a gatekeeping exercise. We want to acknowledge the different roles people play. And I guess almost by proxy, us be celebrated more widely within those other networks. So I think it's such an important point. And Katherine, I'm going to come back to you for sort of the last word on this, in terms of, I guess, a bit of a call to action for our viewers and listeners. If there's maybe kind of one thing today, other than kind of creating the video, which you've already mentioned, that viewers or listeners can do, I suppose, to get involved with the campaign, what would you suggest?
So I'm going to be sneaky and do 2. Just because I can. So in terms of what you can do literally right now, like at the touch of a button, you can go onto LinkedIn, you can search for the hashtag group and join the group. We're going to put that link on the show notes, I think. You're going to do that. So we've created, this is brand new, it's only been going a few months. We've created a dedicated group on LinkedIn for the hashtag, for people around the world to Share great stories. We'll be putting any news and updates about the campaign itself will be on there. And if you want to share any of your own things on there all year round, not just in February, it is there. It's a dedicated page for you to do that. So you literally can do that as soon as you finish watching the rest of this show. And then in terms of the 3rd of February, that's the day when we just want you to get involved and engaged in this campaign. Now, for some of you, you might be already have your creative juices flowing and thinking about what you might want to post. Others, maybe you just want to get involved by sharing other people's posts. That's absolutely fine. If you want to create your own photo, video, time frame, whatever it is, you do it. But if you would rather just share the love, please just like and share and repost other people's on the 3rd of February. So just get LinkedIn open on the 3rd of February and share the love.
A very clear call to action, listeners and viewers, of what we can do individually. And honestly, how much effort is that? Maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes of your day if you're just going to reshare, and maybe some thought and energy that needs to go in if you are thinking about what content piece you can create so that you can actively take part in the campaign. Hashtag so much more than talking about jobs. What I've loved about today's show, and again, viewers, you are more than welcome to leave your comments in whatever platform that you're watching us on and listening us on, to let us know what you've enjoyed about today's show, is that, and I love what Bella said about the career alchemy, that it's about bringing all these little bits and pieces together so that we can, as a collective community, which is something that I heard loud and clear from what Katherine shared. It's about the collective power that we have when we come together as career development professionals, and the impact that we can have, not just only in the lives of the communities that we are serving, because most of us, and I've met some amazing professionals who are absolutely phenomenal at what they do, but sometimes we need to learn how to advocate for our own profession. We're so good at, aren't we, at advocating for our clients? Like, we will literally, I've met some people who will literally physically go down and knock on doors just to advocate on behalf of their clients, to make sure that their clients get that service or access to that help and assistance and support. And yet we probably somehow overlook that we need to advocate for ourselves and for our profession. So you've definitely inspired me, ladies, today with regards to your campaign. So thank you so much for that, and for joining us today. Chris, your final thoughts of what you want to share in today's episode.
Well, I think everyone's summed up the So Much More Than Talking About Jobs campaign beautifully, and I think we've got clear call to actions for kind of everyone that's watching or listening. Everything that's kind of been mentioned, as we've sort of talked about throughout the show, if there's additional resources or links to the LinkedIn group or Bella or Katherine's LinkedIn profiles, you will find those, as always, in the description on YouTube and the episode notes on Spotify. So do check those out anytime after you've kind of listened to the episode. But really, I suppose the last thing to say is that our next episode that is coming up in a fortnight's time links on very nicely to this one, as we'll be hearing from Caroline Green at the Talent Cycle, all about why she's looking to make 2025 the year of careers, and actually, again, what individuals and organisations can do, particularly to help with encouraging more people into the career development sector and building that careers talent pipeline. So it's going to be a really nice follow on from today's episode, and we hope you enjoy it. That's going to be coming up in a fortnight's time. But all that really remains left to be said is a massive thank you to Bella and Katherine for joining us for today's episode. Obviously, best of luck with the So Much More Than Talking About Jobs campaign on the 3rd of February. Keep your eyes peeled for that. Thank you to all of us, and all of you, I should say, that are watching or listening to the podcast on YouTube or Spotify. And we will see you all in the career sphere in a fortnight's time. Take care.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.